Istanbul's skyline dazzles at dawn. Golden domes and soaring minarets catch the first light, their reflections shimmering on the Bosphorus. To foreign eyes, the Ottoman capital is a city of grandeur and mystery. Palaces line the water's edge, their courtyards echoing with history. But behind the splendor, secrets stir, secrets that few chronicles dare to reveal. Beneath these domes, life was not only about power and wealth. There existed another world hidden behind screens and heavy doors. It was the world of the Ottoman harem, not just of women but of boys, yamaks, whose stories have almost vanished from memory. Their laughter, fears, and ambitions were woven into the fabric of palace life. In the hush before sunrise, you might imagine the corridors of Topkapi Palace alive with whispers, silk slippers softly padding the mosaic floors, shadows gliding between candlelit rooms carrying dreams and burdens alike. The Yarmaks lived here, both cherished and captive, wrapped in layers of intrigue. Their world was one that shimmered, then faded. The golden domes remain, but the stories of these boys, once at the heart of empire, are ghosts in the marble halls. Their secrets invite us in, to listen, to remember, and to try to understand. The word Yarmak means helper or servant, but in the Ottoman palace it meant much more. Yarmaks were young boys, often chosen for their extraordinary beauty. They came from distant provinces, sometimes bought, sometimes taken as tribute, sometimes orphaned in war. Inside Topkapi, Yarmaks were both symbols and tools. Their main role was to serve the Sultan and his court. They danced, sang, and recited poetry. They poured wine, arranged gardens, and sometimes acted as confidants or even spies. Their beauty was a currency their loyalty demanded. Life for a Yarmak was a strange mix of privilege and peril. They wore fine silks, ate sweetmeats, and learned languages, but they lived under strict control. Guards watched their every move. Their friendships, even their thoughts, could be monitored or forbidden. Yet some Yarmaks rose high. A few became trusted advisors or lovers to powerful men. Their fortunes could change in an instant. Favored one day, forgotten the next. Even in luxury, they were always at risk, their lives shaped by the desires and whims of others. From their first day, Yarmaks entered a world of careful training. Palace tutors taught them music, calligraphy, and dancing. They were instructed in manners, conversation, and the art of pleasing. Some learned foreign languages. Every gesture, every smile had to be just right. Beauty was everything. The boys' hair was perfumed and styled. Their skin was kept soft and pale, protected from the sun. Embroidery and jewels adorned their robes. The Sultan's court prized them for their looks as much as for their skills. But this beauty was also a cage. Yarmaks were not free to leave. They could not form families or choose their own futures. Their bodies were watched, their purity guarded by eunuchs. Any rebellion or romance outside the court's rules could mean punishment, or worse. Despite the constraints, many Yarmaks found ways to survive. They formed secret friendships. They wrote poetry about longing and loss. Some played the game of palace politics, seeking powerful patrons. In the golden cage, they clung to hope, even as their childhood slipped away. Among the Yarmaks, the story of Tahir and Tib stands apart. Both were taken from distant lands, Tahir from Anatolia, Tib from the Christian Balkans, their fates entwined inside the lush, guarded walls of the harem. They were meant to serve. Instead, they found each other. Tahir was clever and quiet, with eyes like storm clouds. Tib, bold and wild, sang old songs in a language forbidden by the palace. They first met during music lessons. Soon secret glances turned into whispered conversations, and then into something deeper. In a world where even friendship was dangerous, love was a rebellion. Their relationship crossed lines of faith and culture. Tib still clinging to his Christian prayers, shared them with Tahir beneath the golden arches. They risked everything to meet under moonlit colonnades. For a time they became each other's refuge, a secret world within the palace walls. But nothing stays hidden in the harem. When their secret was discovered, punishment loomed. Yet even as palace guards separated them, their names lingered in poetry, in the memories of servants, in the silent prayers of those who loved and lost. Tahir and Tib are now only shadows, but their defiance hints at the courage it took to love even in chains. The Ottoman world saw gender and love differently than we do today. The palace was full of secrets, but it was also a place where boundaries blurred. Yamaks were admired for their beauty regardless of gender. Love between men or between boys and their captors was not always condemned. Sometimes it was celebrated in poetry and song. Desire in the court was, well, complex. Sultans and high officials could take both women and boys into their confidence and their beds. These relationships were often about power as much as passion. The rules were strict, but they were not always clear. What mattered was discretion, loyalty, and the Sultan's favor. Outside the palace, society's views were more conservative. Yet, Ottoman literature and art show that beauty, longing, and even forbidden love were part of the culture. Gender roles were important, but not always fixed. For a while, the palace allowed for a fluid, if dangerous, kind of intimacy. Today, these realities might shock or confuse us, but in the world of the Yamaks, love and power mingled in ways both cruel and tender. They remind us that human desire is always shaped by time, place, and the rules we invent. Change crept in with the wind from the west. By the 19th century, European diplomats arrived in Istanbul, bringing new ideas about gender, law, and morality. The Ottoman elite wanted to appear modern. They began to reshape palace life, eager to impress their foreign guests. New laws were written, old practices were quietly abandoned. The presence of male concubines in the court became a source of shame, not splendor. Some Yamaks were dismissed, others vanished into the city. The poetry and art that once celebrated them faded from public view. Historians began to forget the Yamaks. Their lives were erased from official records, their stories left out of textbooks. Only hints remained in neglected verses, in whispered family stories, in the faded frescoes of abandoned palaces. As the Ottoman Empire crumbled, so too did this hidden world. The golden domes still stood, but the lives beneath them changed forever. What was once accepted, even cherished, became a secret best left unspoken. Today, the Yamaks are almost forgotten. Their names barely survive in dusty archives, but traces linger if you know where to look. A line of poetry, a faded miniature, a haunting melody in an old song, all hint at their presence. Their world was one of contradictions. They lived in luxury, but were never free. They were adored and controlled, cherished, but also expendable. Some found moments of happiness, some only sorrow. Their beauty brought them close to power, but also made them vulnerable. What do we lose when we forget these stories? The Yamaks remind us that history is never simple. Behind every empire's triumphs lie untold tales of those who served, who suffered, who dared to love. Their lives complicate the neat lines of official history. In remembering them, we find not just tragedy, but resilience. The Yamaks, like all who live in the shadows, showed a fierce will to survive, to find meaning, to love. Their voices, faint but persistent, still ask us to listen. Reflections from the golden domes. The world of the Yamaks is gone. The palaces are museums now. Tourists walk the halls, marveling at the tiles and jewels, unaware of the lives that once filled these rooms with laughter and longing. Was this world sophisticated, or was it tragic? The answer is not simple. The Yamaks lived at the crossroads of desire and power. Their beauty was a gift, but also a curse. They created art, music, poetry, but always within golden chains. When their world vanished, something was lost. A certain fluidity, a tolerance for difference, a space where love could bend the rules, even for a moment. But much was gained, too: freedom, dignity, a chance for boys and girls to shape their own fates. Yet the Yamak story still haunts us. Their forgotten courage, their stolen joys remind us that every empire is built on hidden lives. If we listen, those voices still echo beneath the golden domes, daring us to remember, to imagine, and perhaps to mourn.